Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
Gods and
It has been such a long time.
Hey, Art.
And it is so great
Hey,
to
Greg.
be here
Hi.
at Gods and Monsters with Todd Fisher
It's
and
me.
Greg Moan.
It's totally me.
Let's start the show.
Weird.
No, I think we should just...
Yeah,
It's going.
Let's just hang
It's
out.
going. I just wanted you to start the show.
That was the official start of the show.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Art Miles. Greg Moan, what are you drinking this evening?
Yeah, what's going on?
Tonight I am drinking the Roebling Vanilla Espresso Imperial Porter, and
I'm not drinking a damn thing.
Because he's on the clock? No,
That's right.
he just chooses to sell,
Right.
not purchase. Very good for business.
What do you got?
I'm drinking Mackenzie's Hard Cider, Green Apple.
Okay.
And maybe for part two, I'll tell you what I'm drinking again.
Is this
I brought
a is this a regular thing for you, the Mackenzies, or?
two. No, I always try and get something different each
Oh,
time.
okay. So is this the first time drinking a Mackenzie?
Correct, yes. And it's
Oh, wow.
5.0 on the alcohol. How about you?
Mackenzie's a pretty popular one here.
I think this is
at,
about
at the
20%
Off-World.
alcohol. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Jesus.
Speaking
I
of
can't-
popular,
Can't read.
How was that?
Gods and Monsters
Yeah.
is popular.
Right.
We have so many things to talk about. We haven't been here since the first anniversary celebration,
Oh my
Right.
gosh, you brought a
Which-
list.
which was over a month ago.
Which went well, I think.
I had to bring a list because there's so many things that have happened
So many things.
since we left here. Now, that night, it was a Saturday, right?
Yes.
Catching my breath because I ran all the way back. Okay, it was a Saturday night.
We've killed Art.
We did 8 hours of shows. I'm still loading them now. The most recent one is with
The
Talon
roller
and
derby.
Alita. Talon happens to
thought
be
you were
back
gonna
there
say
right
I'm.
now.
Thought you were gonna say I'm still tired.
Because the Roller Derby Girls was posted today.
Oh, you're right. That posted today. That makes no sense to
What was
anybody
it?
watching this right now. The
Right.
roller derby girls who were here,
Oh,
riding
yeah,
around on
yeah,
roller
yeah.
skates.
Yeah, I love those girls.
That one posted today.
Cool.
And I've got like 3 more that still I just haven't got a chance to edit yet.
Interesting clientele
So-
we have.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think one of the questions I asked was, well, who do you know at Gods and Monsters? And I forget what their answer was, but our thought was that no, they just rolled in
Yeah,
and
just-
they just started hanging out that day.
This is just what we do. We
So-
just roll around.
We did the first anniversary show.
Yes. That was
and
fun. That was
It
fun.
was like 8 straight hours of just recording. Plus
Yeah.
there was setup and breakdown. So safe to say we were a little tired at the end of the day, but it's a fun kind of tired.
Sure.
When you hang out here, it's fun.
Any standouts from that 8-hour thing? It's all a
well,
blur.
the biggest standout, of course, being just like the grand opening, it was the constant stream of people.
So many
it
people.
never really
right?
let up, did
yeah,
it,
man.
for you?
Yeah, and it was probably only about half as much as we did on.
You think so?
I don't know. I mean,
Well, you run the numbers. You probably know.
I don't actually, but
Oh.
I know that I know that it was still a really good day for us.
Sure.
But I can't imagine that we did the same foot traffic numbers. But I don't know. I mean,
Foot traffic, but
Wow,
maybe
look at that puppy.
Maybe
That's a
dollar-wise,
big
because
dog.
you
That is
didn't have
a
a bar
giant puppy.
a year ago.
Oh, that's right.
True story.
So we finish up, and this is
Man,
Saturday.
look at all these people.
I know.
dude.
People,
What is
dogs,
happening?
Pokemoners.
Summertime.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later, too. A
Sure.
lot's happened in the months since we've been gone.
Sure.
But we finished up here, and then that was Saturday. That was like an all-day, just we talked for 8 straight hours.
That's right.
Packed down, went home, fell asleep. I get the phone call at 5:30 in the
Oh,
morning.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, you need to come to work. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, like, what's broken now, or what's
Oh.
happening?
Yeah,
and
no.
then it's like something bad's happened. You need to come in. So I'm like, okay. And then from the time I got there, 6 a.m., we never went off the air until 11:30
God,
p.m.
really?
I was
No
just
kidding.
I was editing all day, and it was, I don't want to say
I
it was
keep-
like September 11th
I
again.
keep forgetting that it was the same
It
that it
was-
happened that evening.
I know, because
In
it was
this
2
town-
totally different events, 2 totally
Yeah.
different days.
In this local market, it was like September 11th.
It was. And sitting in my edit bay all day for 11, 12 hours. It was like that day on September 11th where I was sitting there for 11 or 12 hours.
Yeah.
And it was, oh, what a day. It was terrible. But then at the same time, it was oh my gosh, look what I'm seeing on TV. All these people are lining up at the blood bank. It was
Oh, right.
it was so fantastic.
Oh yeah, the
Inspiring.
last month, especially those first 2 weeks, like
Yeah.
right after, was it really showed what we're capable of. Like the good, like because everything, like leading up to that, like all the presidential stuff and all
Yes.
that stuff. It's such a downbeat, and then that was kind of like the crowning achievement of crap for us right now.
So true.
But man, Orlando really shined. I think
They really did.
shone. Is that right? Shone.
Shined.
We
And I feel
shined.
like after all that happened, I felt like that's the last time I'm ever going to complain about. I hate traffic in Orlando. I hate all the people that are here in Orlando. It's stupid
Man,
to
and-
complain the way that I would complain about the littlest, stupidest
Yeah.
things.
I'll tell you what's interesting, and kind of along the same lines of something you were starting, and if there is something bright to be taken out of this, it's that at the Republican convention,
Sure.
the nominee
Yeah.
I'll take that. Just
probably
give it
one
to
of
me.
the biggest bigots that I've
Oh,
ever seen.
he's awful,
Yes.
isn't he?
He actually said some kind words about the LGBTQ community, and the Republican conservative entity is now considering
You have to acknowledge.
yes, and
Well, sure.
if anything good came from that tragedy, it's the acknowledgement and the acceptance.
The light shining on that.
It
on,
is.
On it, on
These
his
are
thing.
people. These are actual real people
Yeah.
who deserve the same rights to live, the same rights that everybody else has.
And man, talk about an event having the opposite effect of what the gunman probably
Yes,
expected.
yeah, absolutely
like,
right.
I'm going to take these guys out and nothing will really come of it. And
Right.
then it's like put everything on a national, like a global
Stage.
stage. And like
Absolutely.
if anything, that I hate to think of it like this, but the sacrifice of 50 some odd people, or 40, was it 48?
49.
It's still 49.
49.
We can talk about that too.
49 individuals
Mm-hmm.
could set the stage for a revolution in that arena.
I do hope
think.
that some of the families see that and they understand that this isn't just a death; it's an awakening.
Sure. Yeah.
And I want to get back to my list of things, but while we're talking about it, I think while I was gone on vacation, there was some sort of Pulse event here.
We
Something
did,
You did
yeah.
tell us a little
Today?
bit about that.
Oh.
No.
No. Yeah. Shortly after we hooked up with again a lot of our local art friends, and we put together an art benefit for. I think we ended up pulling in nearly $5,000.
Oh, wow, Todd, that's
Yeah.
great.
It
Oh,
was
that's so good.
It was cool. No, it was great to see everybody just like scramble to get art
I
ready.
saw the
and-
invite pop up while I was on vacation. I'm glad to see that you did something and people
Yeah.
reacted.
It was
to
we
amazing
did-
to see so many small businesses and large businesses come together that quickly.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
and it's only a testament of the local community here that everybody did want to pitch in.
Yeah.
And you know, I can attest that if you want something bad enough, you can put it together in very, very little time.
Sure.
Without too many people going, you know what? Well, what if we had a water sponsor come in? What if we
Right.
had this come in? And
Yeah.
you know what? Just do that. Do it.
Yeah.
Just get the thing done, and do the good thing, and then give the money to where it needs to
Agreed.
go.
And the
No,
perfect
agreed.
example of that was within the very first hours, we had a camera on the ground. David Martin, who's been to our show many times here.
Sure.
Okay, he's been twice.
Winter Dave
He was at the blood bank. That was going to be
went
his
to MegaCon
mission.
with you this year, didn't he? Wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he
Well,
and I were at
yeah,
MegaCon.
yeah,
You see
yeah,
that?
I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's right. He's been here. He was here for the birthday show. He
Sure.
was here for the grand opening,
Yeah.
doing stuff with you. But he was down at the blood bank. That was his job that day. And in the middle of I'm there and I'm editing and I'm doing videos coming in. I see David there. I'm like, okay, good. There's David at the blood bank. And the camera, he's like, look behind me. He's like, as you can see, everybody's lined up outside. I'm like, wow, that's really great. But then we went to the chopper shot, and they were around the block.
wow.
It was amazing to
It was
see.
like a Star Wars
wow,
premiere.
Look at that. It really was. It was like a Star Wars premiere where you give blood. We
Man.
kind of give
Yeah.
blood in our own way
Yeah,
to Star
kind of.
Wars movies, don't
Kind
we?
of,
Yes.
yeah, kind of.
So that was fantastic to see. But I had to, and I'll ask both of you the same. After September 11th, I sat in the edit bay, for 3 days because
Sure.
of all that happened.
Oh,
But
did you?
But I,
were you cover? Did you cover
I was
that?
still there. Yeah, I was
Wow,
working at
no
Fox
kidding.
back then, but I didn't get to experience
Coffee.
it the way people who lived in New York did. You don't get to
Oh, of course
go
not.
the next day
Yeah.
and see the smoldering building, so I never got to do that. And then after the Pulse thing happened, I was like, well, here I am again, trapped in an edit bay, and I'm
Yeah.
not grasping all of it. So I went down to the Dr. Phillips Center just to see the memorials that went up. Did either of you get a chance to go down there and see any of that?
I have driven by.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did as well. We drove by and we actually parked the car because I wanted the girls to see it. We went as a family just to go see everything and see the pictures and see the faces and see that this just wasn't something you saw on TV.
I did not, because I don't. I don't process that the same as a lot of people might.
Sure.
So I'm aware of what happened, and I'm kind of living in a blissful ignorance that it didn't really happen.
Right.
Sure.
Something in my brain does the same thing where it's like September 11th. It's
Funny,
horrible,
weird
but I need
side
to see
effect.
it.
I recently watched the original Terminator again, one of my favorite
Yes,
films.
yes.
The tech noir scene plays totally different.
Oh
now.
wow.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's like far more heavy.
Oh my. Yes.
It's heavy.
So the Pulse happened, and that was just the day after the anniversary
Sure.
celebration here. I worked for a couple of days straight, double shifts. There was the
Sure.
stuff that came out after, but Buddy Dyer came up and gave it's his second press conference. He came up with the list in his hand, and it was, unfortunately, it's not 20 people, it's 50.
Oof.
49 plus the shooter. But since the day he made that announcement, which was the day of the shooting, the day after the shooting, no, the day of the shooting, They have not lost anyone else yet. There is still, unfortunately, one person still in the hospital at critical condition, which which could still mean it could go to
So-
50, but you really hope not.
So 49 people in the shooter. So
Right.
49 people.
So 49
49
people.
people.
That's right. And they made sure many of the news stations were doing that too. They were correcting to say
Really?
it's not 50 people that were killed. It was 49
Wow.
plus he was
Plus
killed,
that guy.
but they don't want to group him in the same group.
Sure,
And then
no way.
I mean, this is great Gods and Monsters talk here. But then I even heard the guy who had to do the autopsies for the city of Orlando saying he wanted to let the families know that he kept the shooter's body out of the room when he was doing
Really?
examinations of the other families. There was no reason for him to be in the same
Yeah,
room
no.
with them to
Yeah.
be associated with those people. So many stories came out around that time, but I worked for a couple of days straight, and then the next Friday I don't think I could do the show, not to mention I had
You had a
8
Friday-
hours. I had 8 hours of first anniversary footage
Yeah.
to ingest and start
Sure.
editing.
I think
it was
we
like
had,
we
we
couldn't.
had decided earlier that
was
month
like-
not to do a show
It was
after
like
that.
there was no way, and then the next Friday after that, I was on vacation for 2 weeks, which ended up being 3 Fridays.
Right.
So this is the first Friday that we've been able to come back.
Yeah.
And in that time, I was up in the mountains in North Georgia and just having the vacation that we normally do. And I just started seeing these things on my Facebook feed. I told myself I wasn't going to go to Facebook on vacation. By the third day, I'm on and I'm seeing this stuff about Pokemon. And it's like, okay, this is something that's going on. But then once you start seeing it in your news feeds and on CNN, it's like, okay, something's going on.
Something big's going
Something
on.
different is going on. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to download the app. I'm on vacation. Why not? No, I'm up in the mountains where we go and the houses are there. And it's like, okay, here's the game. And here I am. And I'm walking around. And it's like, okay, there's a guy there. And then that's cool. And then if I climb up to the top of that mountain, oh, there's a gym up there or something. And I was
Right,
like,
sure.
I'm not doing that. So about 5 days later, we go into town.
Uh-oh.
And then that's when you see it.
That's
we
when
went to
everything
an
went crazy.
outlet mall up in North Georgia.
Sure.
And it was everyone. It was everyone like this. You hear the music
It's
walk
nuts,
by
right?
you, and it's like, oh, this is really happening. It's
Yeah.
a thing. Then I see you guys started posting events for
Sure.
things. So
We're actually doing one right now, like currently. Like
Really?
right
There's
this second.
like right now.
We've been, we did one last Wednesday, a lure drop, as they say.
Yes.
And we did it from about 3 o'clock to close last Wednesday, and it tripled our Wednesday numbers.
Wow.
We had
I
so,
saw you posted that
so
somewhere.
many
that you
people.
said tripled Wednesday business.
Yes, and then did it again this week. Wednesday this week was double, triple.
So for when you see that the app is free, you're like, well, how are they going to make any money off this?
Sure.
Now, so explain it to me. Businesses can make their establishments turn into is it a gym?
Well, what it is there are Poke Stops.
Okay.
And there are Pokemon gyms.
Okay.
Both of these were in place far before the game came around because they were ported in from a game called Ingress.
Okay.
That was around for several years. That has been around for several years now. I get the impression that it's the same kind of thing where it's like you're tracking things down via GPS and all that.
Okay.
But I think they ported the portal locations in from Ingress to become Pokestops and or gyms.
It's brilliant.
So it's usually places of note that are gyms or Pokestops. Now Pokestops, you can it gives you a little icon with something like, for instance, we are a Pokestop.
Okay.
Our Pokestop is the little Sandman mural behind the
So
little
you
house
see a
right over
picture
there.
of-
You see a little picture of that in a coin, and then you can spin
Right.
it. And you can spin it, and it gives you extra Pokeballs or eggs or crystals or raspberries.
That's what I saw when I was on vacation. There was a flagpole at the top of the dam where there's a dam at this
Yeah.
place, and it's like, oh, there's a okay, look at that! Wow, I can see the picture of it. You
Yeah,
go there
yeah.
and you spin it, and you get some like, okay, that's
Exactly,
cool.
yeah,
But
you-
it wasn't until I
basically
came into
it's
town.
like it's an ammo dump where you can
very
get
good
stuff,
analogy.
yeah.
Yes.
And then the gyms are also in places of note, and you can actually take your collected Pokemon, and if they're powerful enough, you can fight them against whoever is in charge of that gym at
Wow.
the time. It'll be another player. Another player will have control of that gym. And hey,
There's
look
the-
at that.
there's
There's
the
the
picture
thing.
there.
There's the picture.
I'll
And,
show that close up, but that's an example of a Pokestop.
A Pokestop,
a
yes,
Pokestop.
Pokestop.
Excuse me, Pokestop.
And as you see the little fluttery things going on behind it there,
Oh, okay.
that means that there is currently, I think, that means there is currently a lure in place.
I see.
And what
Okay.
a lure is you can pay, it's a minimal amount. It's like, I think it comes out to like 80 cents or something
Oh,
for a
wow.
business to drop a lure. And what a lure will do is it will it will lure Pokemon to your location.
And it has, according to what
And
you've
it
said.
has. And usually each lure runs 30 minutes. But again, it's less than $1.
Right.
And you're doing nothing. Like local businesses that are doing this, like our friend Denise has the Whiny Winch over in Oviedo Mall.
Oh, okay.
She's a Pokestop as well. And I said, you gotta drop a lure, and she did, and of course, it's just money waiting to happen because people,
All those Oviedo kids. Oh, I bet.
even if they're not coming in and actively spending money, they're in your space.
Right.
You basically have to go there to spend the thing and get your
Right.
free stuff.
But that's foot traffic you never would have
That's
normally
right.
got.
That's right. And it's proven now 2 weeks running that the things, and it's funny, like we were doing the lure drop ourselves. Like I had Jack buy, you pay real money,
Yes.
to get coins, I guess, to buy these things in game, and we were finding that people were dropping their own lures, so
Oh,
we didn't even have to.
It started
So
to
it's
take
just
on a life of its own.
It's true, and I think it's amazing, and there are jokes to be made where people are walking off cliffs.
Of
and
course, you
all
hear
these
the
things.
stories and
Of
driving
course.
cars and crashing.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw a video at work. A kid was playing it, crashed his car into a police car.
I
The
saw that.
policeman had his camera on his chest. They were outside the car talking. Came right up and smashed their car. And,
Oh,
and
God.
he's like, it was this damn game, man. And it's like,
Wow.
oh boy,
Man, no kidding.
Pokey.
Yeah.
So
It's but it's kind of this weird global phenomenon that is that we're like knee deep in
yeah,
right now.
you're right in the middle of it,
And
and,
we
that's
didn't- and we-
fantastic.
and-
Oh, look, the fans are waving.
Hello. And we didn't have to do anything to
Really?
become a Pokestop. Now I hear that as the game progresses, businesses will I think be able to. I've heard that they'll be able to pay to have exclusive Pokemon or rarer Pokemon.
Okay, for a
show
little
up at your
extra
thing for a
fee.
living. Sure. And I think you can actually, like, outsiders can petition to have places of note added as Pokestops and or gyms. I believe that's coming out. And second-gen stuff, second-gen characters, I think, are coming out, I want to say in September or October. So it's just going to keep going and going.
Wait until the temperature actually starts to drop in this heat wave of
Oh,
a
I know,
town,
dude.
and we're outside doing this.
Well, you get things like Crane's Roost and Lake
Yes.
Eola
Yep.
getting thousands and thousands of people.
Disney
just,
Springs, I heard, it's just crazy.
Ripley's Believe It or Not up
Yeah,
the road.
I drive.
My sister came into town from Mims, like on the other side of the planet, and she dropped off her friend with us and said, "We're going to go Pokemon." And they ended up in the parking lot well after hours for Ripley's, and she said that there were like 50 people just there, kind of tailgating with like drinks and the whole
Oh,
thing.
wow.
But it's cool because even though there's these team rivalries, there are three
Sure,
teams:
sure.
Instinct, Valor, and Mystic.
Yeah.
And of course, there's that there's playful like hate online.
Of course. It's a community. It's a sensitive community.
Playful.
I have seen the
It's
two.
vicious.
The
It's-
two
it's-
top tiers are cool, and then the one is eating paste.
Oh,
I mean,
it's
just
yeah,
like
it's pretty vicious. But I mean, like last Wednesday, like we were quick to get some of our third party creators on it. Like I got our friend Matt Allen to start making team shirts.
Oh,
And,
really?
oh yeah, team shirts, and then our guy Bruce that does our stickers. I said we got to get on team stickers, and he does different sizes. He does cell phone size ones, and I sold that the last Wednesday. I sold $700 in stickers alone.
Holy
People
smokes.
like we sell a good amount of the stickers anyway.
Sure,
but when I put them up by the front register and people were just like, oh, I'll take 3 of those and 2 of those, and hey, your buddy's Valor, right? Give me 2 of those too. And it was bonkers. It was so crazy.
What a perfect business for this whole Pokemon app thing.
It's very advantageous. Like it's very.
Did you know it was
fortunate.
coming? I knew nothing about it until
I
it started
heard it
popping
was
up.
coming.
I don't think I did. I mean, I kind of keep up with the AR stuff and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, but I don't think I knew that this was coming.
I
Certainly
did.
not like this. I don't think anybody.
I did. I had heard for weeks that this thing was coming, but
Sure.
You didn't know
I
to
had
what
no
extent.
idea what it was.
Man,
I
you should have
just heard-
told me. I could have planned better.
Even when you have it explained to you, it's still like, I don't know what it means, even though
Well,
you just
I thought it
explained
was
going to
be a cell phone game for Pokemon, and
Sure.
I'm just like, well,
Sorta.
Okay. Well,
So are
there's-
you still playing? Art?
There's an app.
Now that I'm back in Civilization, yes, I am.
And what team are you?
I am Team Valor. Thank
Are
you
you
for
Team Valor?
asking.
Very
Yes.
good.
Now I'm only on level 5. Forgive me.
Okay.
I know the game's only been out for.
It's okay. You're a working man.
But thank you.
Yeah,
thank
there
you
it
for
is.
thank you for
I got-
clarifying
I
that.
got you,
Because if
baby.
I was at like level 30 or 40, you'd be like, you do work for a living, right? But it is a lot of fun, and you do get to walk around. You are tricked into exercise.
I'm actually I'm a Polka driver. I just
driver?
I drive. Well, that's what I've coined it. I drive Anna around a lot, so she can go to the different things.
The
and
thing
get her
I
things.
wonder now is like a place like this. You get your little scooters, and it's like bring your little push scooters.
In Artagon. There are 14 stops,
Brilliant,
and 2 gyms on site.
That's great.
Where's our billboard?
Right. It's just. I mean, I don't know if.
It'd be interesting to see the numbers.
Yes.
To see like in the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks, how much of the traffic here was Poco related.
Yes, there was
'cause
a
it's
way.
a lot.
It's hard to determine that. Though,
the numbers
isn't
in
it?
general, I think, because we're in summertime now, I think everything's kind of picking up. You can see like we're kind of packed out.
You know
today.
what? You know,
The timing of this release was really smart too, because
No kidding, man.
I cannot imagine what school is going to be like in September when the kids go back and they're just completely
What do you bet?
distracted.
Like a no cell phone clause?
You know
Like,
what?
Yeah, you know what? As a matter of fact,
Maybe
Seminole County did put something out about no cell phones on during
Wow.
school hours.
Sure, that's
No
going to
kidding.
work. But what I'm saying is
That's gonna work.
maybe it would be smart for the general. I don't know who's in charge of creating Pokestops and
I think it's Niantic,
Poke
the
gyms.
company that actually,
yeah.
that does it.
Can places submit to not have anything anywhere near their campus?
I think that they can. I
Because-
think that you can actually have, like, I don't know, disruptive portals removed. Like if
Right.
it's something where
Because-
like
Because, like, what if
we
one
know-
kid pays to have one in the middle of his school?
Well, we know that there was a situation where there was at the Holocaust Museum. There was
Oh,
something
yeah.
going on at the Holocaust Museum,
Uh-oh.
and people were coming there doing Pokemon.
It was, by the
at
way,
the Holocaust Museum, and they were just like, "Get out of here!"
we all,
by the-
we all
by the
grieve in
way-
our own way.
So, is there a way for schools to say, "Hey, within 600 feet of our campus, nothing,
they
absolutely
probably
nothing"?
I'd imagine that they probably can.
That would be useful.
Especially
What
something
the-
like a
look at this
school-
kid over here. Look at this. This is amazing.
He's got a 3-wheeler
He's got a stormtrooper helmet on.
and a pink
Oh, that's-
tricycle.
That's amazing. I love
You know
it.
what? In our day and age, is that considered a trigger warning? It's a this kid is bonkers. Look at this
If
kid.
you see something, say something.
Zero
Okay.
tolerance. Okay.
You
Wow.
were going to say something, Todd?
I was, but then this happened.
Well,
Yeah,
I I just really wish I would have had the forethought to put a couple $1,000s into
Dude,
Nintendo
right?
stock, because I believe it's up 70%.
Oh my God.
It went crazy.
Didn't like the first few days it said it had more traffic than Twitter
oh, yeah.
does?
And porn.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and porn.
Yeah,
and porn. That's
True
crazy.
story.
Nothing
No.
cannot beat that.
You'd think.
Wow.
I
So
know,
that
man.
is a complete
So,
success.
I have
Super
two,
success.
two questions about it.
Yes.
And I forgot my first question, but my second question is, how long is this going to be a thing?
Hey man,
Good
if
question.
they're smart about it, they can keep it rolling for a long time.
Different
They've
versions of
They've
it.
only released I think like 150 some odd, and there's about 800 different Pokemon.
I thought you were going to go
Thus
with
far.
they've only released about 150 Pokemon games
Oh, right.
since the 80s. So I remember Game Boy, classic Game Boy. You know,
Yeah.
Well,
Pokemon.
I think that this is different in that it. First of all, it's geared towards a very specific demographic
Is it?
overall. It really is, and I'll tell you why. Because most of the people that are playing this are people our age.
Yeah, you're right.
Are people that grew up now. Now, with me personally, I grew up kind of right outside of the bubble. Like I was very aware of Pokemon. I know a lot of the
I'm the
names.
same-
and
in the same boat, right.
But I didn't get into it. I didn't play
Nope.
the card game or anything. I didn't watch the show. But I
Me
was
neither.
aware of it, and I know the vernacular, and I can talk Pokemon. But hey, look, that was our lure drop poster on the digital thing. Anyway,
It's everywhere.
But I think it's really geared towards that wish fulfillment for a 90s kid that grew up loving that show and only ever wanting to be a Pokemon hunter. And this
Right.
is as close as we're able to get right now without going out and grabbing like raccoons.
The age group of kids who own cell phones is not the younger generation. It's our generation
That's
and
right.
slightly under our
That's right.
generation. So little kids who enjoy Pokemon or play with the cards and stuff,
Sure.
they ain't doing what we're
Yeah.
doing. They're not having as much fun as we
I thought
are.
of my other question. What other entity has caught on as quickly
Oh, has
and as
done this?
broadly as this?
The only thing I can think of is like Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
like
but-
social media in general, like in the last 5 years, has really blown up.
I
like
can't-
Instagram and Twitter and
I know
all
you're trying to compare it to something, but
There's really
I
nothing
can't.
to compare
I
it to.
can't compare it to anything at the cost of nothing.
Yeah.
I figured at least
Yeah.
the app would be 99 cents.
Nothing. Nothing.
Now they've reached the point where they could charge.
But they're
$1.
smart. They're smart about it because it's the in-app purchases
Yep.
that
Oh,
they're
sure.
making tons and tons.
Oh, and they're
tons of
counting
money.
on it. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
people are of course to be able to really play the game, like
It's-
really play the game. You
I
have
mean,
to put a little
yes,
bit of money into
you
it,
do.
and
It's the old adage of the drug dealer. First one's free.
Right, yeah.
Get you hooked on the game.
Oh, dude.
The first,
then
my first day
I need
of-
more Pokeballs. I get $1.
the first
Yeah.
day
It's
in
only
the
$1.
mountains,
It's only a buck.
we
40
were,
times.
we were going through the mountains, and it's like, oh, okay, there's one there. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I'm out of Pokeballs. Well, how do I fix that problem?
Yeah.
You scroll to the bottom, and there it is. That's how
Yep.
you do it. You got to spend a little money.
Do they regenerate though over time?
I don't know.
No, that's
But-
what
That's not at all?
Pokestop. That's what Pokestops are for.
But the
Oh, I see,
Pokestop,
okay.
like there's one. There was at a flagpole at the place
like
where
that
we
you
were
keep
staying.
calling it a
You go back to
Pokestop.
it the next day.
That's a
that's actually a
that's
George
where
Michael thing.
Truckers
That's a-
go. Yeah.
Pokestop is a totally different thing, kids.
Yeah.
If you look that up, you'd
But yeah,
you'd see that.
Pokestops you can go, and it usually gives you 3 or 4 either raspberries that you can use to lure
Right,
them,
right.
or Pokeballs. They have special Pokeballs that are more powerful and
Yep.
stronger, and will keep.
I just
things-
grabbed a few while you were sitting here telling me because
yeah.
we're at the Pokestop here. Gods and Monsters podcast is near a Pokestop.
crystals and things
Spread the
that,
word.
that you can use. But yeah, the other thing that I don't think we've talked about Pokemon Go is the ability that it has had to get people out of their house.
Well, that's true. It's a
and
very
walking
social.
around.
Yes.
It's a social.
It's weird, right?
Yep.
It's weird.
Those
Like people
first
that
few
would
days-
never have talked to any of us would like walk up
Right.
and
I
hey.
saw a story that we ran about a mayor of a small town who paid whatever the fee is that you pay
Sure.
to put it right in the middle of his downtown whatever, and kids who were walking around in their version of Central Park,
Sure.
whatever the small town was, and he was like, it cost us like $100. It's bringing the community together. I'm like,
Yeah, dude.
it's brilliant. Everybody,
great.
of course, everyone's walking around like
Genius.
this, but it's brought everybody together.
I also found out that was a story the other day that the creator of Pokemon, the original creator of Pokemon, on the spectrum, on the autistic spectrum.
Yes.
I had no
Really?
I had no idea.
Really?
Yeah. And of course, it totally makes sense.
Now it does, yes.
Certainly for the detail-oriented nature of most autism. So that was kind of a surprise / non-surprise at all
Right.
for me.
Now I wonder who are they in bed with when it comes to the GPS aspect of it.
I think
Google
it's-
Maps.
I want to say it's either Google Maps or Google Earth or
Okay.
whatever. I think it's tied directly into
Yeah,
that.
it has to be because
think
when
it
you
is.
pull up and all of a sudden you see all the roads to your town, it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh.
they're in bed with somebody here.
My
but-
favorite was like 2 days into it, there was a guy on my feed that was just like, it's just so they can get pictures of the inside of your house. And it's like, really?
Stop playing
and,
it.
and you know what? All right.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, I got a Pidgey. I'm fine with that.
You
That's
got a
fine.
picture of my rectangle.
Yeah.
All you see is a rectangle. Yep, there's my house. You got
That's
me.
it.
You got me.
There it is.
So good. Gods and Monsters is benefiting.
Yes, we
from-
are
from-
pro Poke.
from
Poke
the
Pro.
love that is Pokemon.
True story.
And Pokestops. I got to say it right. I've
All right.
been saying it like a 45-year-old when
Pokestop.
I'm only 44. Pokestops. No. That's the rest areas on I-4. Those are Pokestops.
Call me a grandpa. I'll never play this game.
Really? It's
Yeah.
just
No,
not.
no.
It doesn't appeal to you.
Not even in the same universe as my wheelhouse. It's
Yeah.
just in a different plane of existence.
All right.
But great. It puts the social. What is Facebook? What do they call that?
Social
Twitter,
media?
Social media? No, social. Is this social media? No.
Social media. That's considered social
Network.
media.
Social Network was the name of the movie. The Social
Networking?
Network.
What do we call those things?
We called them.
I just lost my mind.
You know what? I called I call it that. Just
What is
social.
it? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
That's not social media.
That's social media.
How drunk am I?
Welcome to the show.
Superpower
All right, well,
drive.
let me say that Pokemon Go is putting the social back into
Hey,
social media.
Look at
There
this.
we go. What do we got?
That's my sister and Gavin.
There we
Is she
go.
is she
Remember,
Pokemoning?
I was just telling the story about Ripley's Believe It or Not. This is that's Corey right
Look,
there. That's
she's
my
there
sister.
Pokemoning right now. Yeah,
And that's our friend Gavin. You should
Anytime you see this, you know exactly what people are doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You should
Have her sit.
Yeah.
Have her sit. Now, Todd, when she does sit, I'll need you to scoot a little bit closer to Greg and scoot her chair over
Oh.
and her microphone.
They're walking. There's
Oh,
probably
they're
a
Pokemoning.
they're probably a Pokestop over there.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Serious
we're okay.
business,
We're okay.
Art.
All right.
Serious
That was
business.
skitter in the way.
Priorities.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. So that's
Is
that's
it hotter
what's
in
been
this
going-
corner than it normally is?
It is,
Good
and of
Lord.
course I was running right before we started.
Gavin's fun to talk to, by the way, because he's from Wales.
Oh, now he's been to the store
Fancy.
before,
Many
right?
times, many
okay,
times.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
just
yeah.
haven't had a chance to meet your Gods and Monsters employees,
What do you got
siblings.
next? What do you got next on this list that we're?
Oh,
supposed to talk
I
about
put up
today?
a list. We talked about what happened at the Pulse. The first
right.
anniversary show we've talked about. I was on vacation. We talked about Pokemon, Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
I have not. Greg
Yeah.
has seen it, and if you want to hear a full review of Greg talking about it and watching him, I think, spill beer while doing it at the
Oh,
same
man.
time.
No, it was root beer.
You
Root
can
beer.
go to Good Egg.
It's YouTube/Good Egg Pro.
Good Egg Pro.
I-
To give a full review of it, but perhaps he'll give us a little taste of what he put up on YouTube because Greg has seen it.
I'll give you a review.
There we go.
A short review.
What'd you
it
think?
stinks.
Really?
It stinks.
It's bad.
You didn't like it?
It's not funny.
Okay.
It's not funny.
However, Greg was very generous in giving it a 3 out of 5 star review, which confuses some viewers.
Not on the video review. I did that on Facebook.
Okay.
On my written review.
Sure.
And I take that back now because it really is a
2.5,
maybe
like it.
maybe 2.
maybe 1.75.
Wow.
2. Out
I
of
know
5.
that, and
It's-
I watched your review, and then
Yeah.
I also read, and if you ever like to still read about movie reviews, Richard Roper wrote a great review on the
I read
movie
it,
on
yeah.
how much he disliked it, but he said something, and it reminded me about when the movie Grown Ups came out. Adam Sandler,
Sure.
Chris
Lots of
Rock.
talented
you see
people.
all these talented people, and it's like, why with
Completely-
all these talented people could
completely
you not
uninspired.
put together a script that would be entertaining for everyone?
And what's interesting is when I wrote the review, that was like immediately when I got home. When I did the video review, that was like
After some
an
reflection.
hour later. And the more time goes by, the more angry I get.
Oh man.
I'll still
about-
probably go see it.
It's weird because this is like I've primarily heard positive things over
Rotten
the course
Tomatoes
of
has got it in the 70s somewhere.
Really?
It's doing well.
like a lot
It
of
is.
a lot of people seem to love it, and
I want to meet these people.
Well, I got something for him. No, I'm a huge Kristen Wiig fan. I love Kristen.
Absolutely.
Love
As a matter of
Kristen
fact,
Wiig.
I love all of
love
them.
Kate
Yep.
McKinnon like
Yep.
Kate
a
McKinnon.
lot.
By the way, Kate McKinnon again, second year in a row, nominated for an Emmy for her
awesome.
performances on Saturday Night Live this
SNL.
year.
She's
Great.
she's
she
amazing.
killed it this year with those UFO interviews where she was a UFO abductee and she was interviewed. She
And
killed it in those skits.
and apparently quite the standout. Like if
Yes,
if anybody
she
is
is.
like the breakout of this movie,
Absolutely.
it's finally
That's
Kate
what I've
McKinnon.
heard as well. Would you agree in any way, or was she a breakout, or was she a distraction
In the movie?
in the movie?
Yeah. It's okay.
The-
You're amongst friends.
We're here to talk.
The problem of the movie was
Kate McKinnon.
Paul Feig or
Feig,
or
the
Feig
director, yes.
Director, sure.
gave them nothing to do.
He gave
Okay.
great, talented people
Oh
nothing
my
to do.
God, they were there. You can almost see them trying.
It's like he was probably hoping, I'm going to give him this script, but these guys are really good, so I'm just going to let them do their magic.
Sure.
Sometimes it doesn't work that way.
It was an action film first. I think it was an action film first,
right.
and then it
Did you do the
was-
3D?
Yeah, I did the 3D.
I heard that the
IMAX.
3D was actually pretty good.
Well, let me say one thing about 3D IMAX that I said in my video review.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
By the way, there is regular 3D, and then there's IMAX 3D, which is what you saw, and that was a distraction, I believe you said.
I chose to go to what I thought was going to be the most intended way to view
Sure.
this film, the best experience.
Yeah.
$18.
And you're right. It is for
Matinee,
IMAX.
$18. So the problem is in the film itself, for the IMAX experience, they kind of shrunk down the actual film aspect in the bars, the movie frame.
Yes.
Okay.
But they had a little extra space on the screen to put effects, and effects were in IMAX. So you have weird 3D effects outside of the frame of the film.
Weird.
Which they probably thought, oh my God, this is brilliant.
That's
It's gonna
gonna look great.
It's gonna look amazing. Or it's going to be completely distracting as soon as you notice it,
Oh,
and
no
then you
kidding.
can't stop
And then
noticing
you can't
it.
stop noticing.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Batman. What was the final one? Return? No, Batman. Dark Knight Rises?
Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
I remember
Yes,
seeing that at the
Rises.
IMAX theater downtown on iDrive and seeing, like, wasn't it the aspect ratio was changing when you were watching it in IMAX
would-
3D?
They also did that
Yeah.
in
They did
Batman,
that with Ghostbusters.
Batman.
The
Sup-
second one?
Superman,
the second
Batman,
one.
Superman?
The second one.
Oh,
The second
Dark
Batman.
Knight.
Oh, Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Dark Knight, man. I saw Dark Knight at Point Orlando.
I did too, yeah.
And man,
Yeah, I
that was
know.
so nice.
I know,
Like
I know.
I knew that that for the IMAX they filmed like it was like 4 scenes,
Right.
And most of it were like the panoramic shots of like the cityscapes,
Yeah.
like
Yep,
when
yep.
they like the establishing shots. It
Yep.
would just go, boom.
Yeah, and it just
And it was so cool. I was actually in a Batman documentary where I talked about the same thing, And it was weird because, like, you've been to the Point Orlando IMAX,
Oh,
of
yes.
course, right?
Star Wars.
And it's several hundred people there, and it was packed, of course. And it goes over that shot of Gotham, like that overview of Gotham, where it's just like everywhere, like it's all around you.
Right.
And I just heard, and it was the first shot of the film.
when the bank robbery.
Right, exactly.
Daytime.
And I just heard everybody go. like everybody in the
It's
theater just,
overwhelming.
it's so
Right.
insane.
And if you so choose to sit close to the front,
Yeah.
I've never done that at Point Orlando. I always sit in the back. But if you choose to sit up in the front, it's like you're in that city.
and the
probably
sound in that theater
Yeah.
is so
It's so good. We saw Star Wars there when we did our
Yeah,
podcast
man.
there that
I did some
day.
research on IMAX, and not any single major motion picture has ever been filmed entirely in IMAX.
Right. I think
It's-
the only
it's
one may have
always
been the James
partial.
Cameron underwater one
Okay.
into the
Well, those
deep.
special.
But you're
those are
right. I
Special
don't think-
releases.
I want to say
Too
that
expensive.
I
to
think
do that.
Infinity War. I think the new Avengers.
Oh,
I think
okay.
the new
Will be
Avengers
entirely
movies,
shot
I
in
think it's
IMAX.
supposed
Really?
to all be.
That's got to be
I think
expensive.
that's the one that is.
I figure the reason they don't is because of how expensive it is.
No,
it is.
actually, it's because the cameras are so large; they're very difficult to do a lot
Sure.
of the camera movements that they'd like to do,
You're not doing a lot of handheld
and
on an
they're
IMAX.
extremely noisy. So, for any
lot of
time,
post-production
yes,
Yeah,
any time that they're
nightmare.
going to be using those cameras, they have to do ADR after the fact to put all the to put all the
Like
the
anytime they're
exhausting-
in use, there's like
Yeah.
they basically crank out old time show tunes.
Yeah.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my. Well, at least the shot's gonna look nice.
So there's a whole post production that has
That's
to happen
right.
for any shot in IMAX.
So you would not recommend seeing Ghostbusters.
I would not.
Okay.
And you said something about it being an action film, and that's something that the original was not. The original was a comedy that had some action in it.
Right.
They've made this movie an action film, and it's not living up, is it?
They
in your
tr-
mind?
Well, I see. That's one of the problems. They didn't. I don't think they knew what they wanted this film to be because first, it's an action film, but it's also a female buddy film, and it's also a coming to redemption film. I don't even know how to.
Right. A lot of pressure put on them, even deciding to do a sequel to Ghostbusters
You know what?
at all.
Something I found interesting is if you go back and you watch the preview for this film,
Yes.
less than half of that preview is actually in the movie.
Because of
Is that
probably
true?
the outrage that came out,
Probably
and they
because
started
of
doing
it.
reshoots.
Because
right?
wow.
when people say, "Oh my God, that's a stupid friggin' joke," then the producers go, "We're getting really bad press
Right.
about this."
Matter of fact, it's considered
you mind
the-
if you recut this?
It's the most hated thing on YouTube ever. Was
It
that
is,
the
yeah.
review
Yeah.
of the
Wow.
trailer?
Yep.
So
I almost went and saw the new Star Trek today.
I know, out today.
I ran a little bit behind, and I didn't. I as you know, no trailers for Todd.
Correct,
And
correct.
so I totally forgot that it was coming. I knew it was soon, but then
didn't
I
know
saw
that
something on my
soon.
feed that was like Star Trek's out today, and it's pretty good.
It's
and I'm like,
getting overwhelmingly great press.
good,
Good,
so
good,
happy.
good.
Last one was a little shaky. The con
the
one.
con one,
The con
yes,
one was a little
yes.
shaky. Had its moments, and I
It did.
enjoyed it.
It did.
I thought it relied a little bit too much
on the
first.
original,
On
yes.
the first one that came out, just like they suddenly we have to do another space fly scene.
Yes,
or whatever.
yes.
I just thought that they could have done something different. And I like Benedict.
You know what? I did too. Very
Yeah,
much.
I thought he was-
And
I
I'm
thought
glad
he was
he was
good.
frozen at the end and not killed. 'cause
Sure.
You never
Yeah,
know.
spoiler.
because you never know. But it's I thought it was, and it was certainly, of course, grand, and
Yes.
a lot of awesome fights. Ooh, and Peter Weller, right?
Peter Weller.
is amazing, of course. But I'm looking forward to this one. I'll probably
Wasn't
see
he
it tomorrow.
RoboCop?
Yes,
He was.
He was RoboCop.
He
was
was
in, He
RoboCop.
was in the
He
second.
is
Star Trek movie.
RoboCop.
He is
The only RoboCop.
The only
Stop
RoboCop.
rebooting my favorite movies.
I know. It's
Stop it.
It's constantly happening.
All
Isn't
right,
it?
I'm gonna go here soon, but I want to talk about one more thing.
Go ahead.
Which-
Good.
And it's Stranger Things.
I'm
All right.
It's got to be on the list. It
I
better
got a
be
text,
on your list.
I got a text, and it was the third person to text me saying, "Are you watching the show?" And I was like, "All right, that's it. I'm going to start
So
watching."
you
it
have not
immediately."
watched it
I
yet?
have not.
Ugh.
And apparently, as a Twin Peaks fan, I'm going to love this show.
Yes.
Yes. So
It's. Of course, I won't spoil anything. It is.
I know nothing except
It's-
for the title.
I'll tell you. For my tastes, it ran a little too long. Like I would
Okay.
have liked to have seen it maybe 6 episodes instead of 8.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is a
But-
full
but
series.
8 1-hour episodes.
8 1-hour episodes.
Okay. All right.
It was a little bit long-winded for me, just a little.
All right.
But man, it's fun. It's
what
so
I
much
keep
fun.
hearing.
What network is this on?
Netflix.
It's
Okay.
Netflix original. 8 parts for the first season. I'm sure it will get a second.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it's a love letter to the 80s to Spielberg to Carpenter
Glad to hear it.
to
Cool.
Stephen King. All these things kind
it's
of
creepy.
melded into one. It's 3 childhood friends on an adventure, and it's
So it's
and
Goosebumps.
It's scary.
Good.
It's it's weird things going on in their town, and it's solid. It's a lot of fun. And by the way, my favorite thing about it, score. It sounds
okay.
it sounds like a John Carpenter score. Like it's super heavy on the synthesizers, and it's really fun.
I'm
Is
so
the
glad to hear
score a
this.
throwback to the 80s?
Very much
Cool.
so.
Good.
I will
It's-
love it.
It's so cool, by the way, because and this is the weirdest little. You'll love it because it's a video thing. But the first time you see like the opening credits, the opening thing where they're putting where they're showing you the words, the Stranger Things the title sequence, opening title sequence.
Yes.
You got there eventually.
Yeah, I know. The music is going, but then I noticed like there's a grain that they put on it that reads very.
It wasn't a clean
VCR,
digital
it's-
21st century show.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
It's
oh, welcome.
Sorry,
come
closed.
here.
Oh, the gate's closed. The gate's closed. It's after 9.
Oh shit.
We're late.
Well, shit.
Someone's got to go count up the registers.
I
I
know,
suppose
right?
that's your job, right?
It is.
So I'm glad you mentioned Stranger Things because now you're the 4th person to ask me, how are you watching this show? Which
Oh, it
means,
is
all
after
right.
9.
All right,
I'm here
we're
till
behind.
midnight though. So.
Oh, wow.
But yes,
Yes?
I finished Gravity Falls.
Oh,
Finally
the
finished
final,
Gravity Falls.
the final
yes.
episode was a 3-parter, actually.
was,
Weird
yeah.
Mageddon, part 1, 2, and 3.
So good. Yeah.
So good. And you know what? Hats off to the creator for saying, you know what? It's only meant to be 2 seasons.
That's right.
I'm not going to continue this. Disney wants me to. I'm not going to.
Did-
I had a beginning, middle, and end all set up. I'm not going to stretch it out.
Alex Hirsch. I
Alex
believe.
Hirsch.
Yeah. Did you hear about the scavenger hunt that's happening?
No. What?
Okay.
Oh,
You've seen
boy.
obviously you've seen the last episode. The
Yes.
last
Frame.
frames of the
Yes.
episode is that statue
With
of
the statue
of Bill Cipher.
Bill Cipher, yes. Which seemed to be not animated. It was real.
That is a real thing. That is somewhere in the world, and he's started a scavenger hunt. And there's a deep Reddit page, like a subreddit page, of people all over the globe trying
looking
to
for
work
it.
together to find
Well,
this statue.
As this is a Disney product, I hope it's in Epcot somewhere.
it's so cool,
but it's probably
right?
not. It's in the woods somewhere in
Maybe.
some unknown
But man,
town.
how cool is that?
Melted
You know?
down
Yes.
already.
Well, you know what I want to see? I want to see a series with the Grunkle brothers. You know, the Grunkle
Yes, a little
Stan
spin-off
and,
of the two of them going on adventures together.
The last 5 minutes of that series is such
So
perfection.
well done. It really, really
Such
was.
perfection.
And to see the two of them and the kids get on the bus
It's
and they
great,
open up
man.
the letter, see you next
Oh,
summer. It just
it's beautiful.
What a great show.
It's
And-
beautiful.
And I can my daughter, it's her favorite show and I can certainly see why.
Ooh, and
Just-
also before I go, Rick and Morty season 2 now
Yes.
streaming.
Yes,
now
I've seen it.
streaming on Hulu for free.
Absolutely
You don't have to pay for
brilliant.
it anymore.
So
you said
brilliant.
something on Facebook about who does the voice of Rick and Morty?
I don't actually know, but
Because he does some other voice on another show or something. It's like, yeah, oh God.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Well, as always, we're lucky to have Todd Fisher when we can have him
Oh, yeah,
because he's
man.
a busy guy.
I love
Someone,
it.
Someone has to count the money up at the end of the day,
Speaking
and that's
of busy,
his job right
I'm
now.
gonna go.
All right.
Great to see you guys again.
It's been a while, and
and
congratulations on 1 full year now of Gods and
dig
Monsters.
it. I'm gonna see if I can round up maybe my sister and Gavin can come talk to you guys.
Since you couldn't get her in the front door. All right, we'll
thanks,
be
guys.
here.
Thank you, Todd.
Todd Fisher coming to visit us. And I'll let you know that the second beer I'm drinking this evening is Crispin All Natural Hard Pear Cider. Never had the pear cider before.
So you were talking about the bust at the end of Gravity Falls, and I just want to
Yes.
connect that to my loathe for the Ghostbusters movie.
Here we go.
So they have cameos from all of the original cast,
Which sounds like they stuck out like a sore thumb.
except for Rick Moranis, because he was the only person who cared.
Right.
Okay, so when you're doing a reboot, those characters didn't exist. The original characters didn't
Right.
exist. The original actors in those roles did not do that. So, I mean,
Right.
don't put them in your reboot movie. It's not clever. It's not funny. It's not cute.
Stop
It's,
winking at the camera. Huh? Bill Murray? Huh? Wink, wink. It's
Oh
not
my
it's not necessary.
God,
all
was it
these
bad.
years that Bill Murray fought to doing another Ghostbusters, where
Mm-hmm.
he was like, why would we do this? Why would we get together a bunch of old guys ghostbusting in Ghostbusters 3? And then he goes and does this.
Yeah.
Why?
God, I don't know.
Why would
And
he do it?
The part that he played was just so awful. So awful. You could almost see him looking at the camera going,
Ugh.
just doing it for the money.
Oh,
Just for the money.
That's very unfortunate, but
The
going
bust.
into it,
The
yes,
bust.
Yes.
There is a very quick scene, and it's if you blink, you miss it. There's
Right.
a bust of Egon Spengler in the film.
as the character of Egon.
Yeah.
As if to say, this movie in 1984 actually happened.
Yeah. But because
But there's
they,
no mention of it.
they don't linger on it. They don't point to it or anything like that. It's just in the background of a shot, and you're just like, why?
They're just patting themselves on the back at this point.
Here's what I think. Here's what I really think happened was that, this is Dan Aykroyd. Ghostbusters was Dan Aykroyd's child.
Yes.
He needed this movie to be made so badly.
He wrote it.
He wrote it. He co-wrote it with Ivan Reitman, right?
Yes.
So he wanted this movie so badly, and I guess he wanted to be a part of the continuance of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess they thought, in their ultimate wisdom, that if they got the original cast in there, they could get all of us 40-some-year-olds to
right.
come back and say, "Ooh,
Right.
I wonder what they have to do with it. I wonder what that's going to be all about. I wonder if I'll forgive them for writing a shitty story." And oh my God, it was a terrible story.
Why is it getting such good reviews? I mean, I'm seeing like the ad come up. It's like Time Magazine says, and it's like it's got 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, what is going on here?
I'm not really sure, and I implore you to watch it on a regular screen on a matinee
Right.
day when it gets to the dollar theater. or
3D
something
not
like that.
necessary.
Not it's you know what, it probably did increase my viewing value of
Only
it.
when
but
you saw ghosts coming at the screen. I mean, what else was in 3D or an IMAX that was necessary?
I'll tell you, it saved me from the eye roll of seeing the 3D effects in regular 2D and just going, oh well, that was done for the 3D. Oh, that's 3D. Okay, well that would have been cool in 3D. So I got to experience every effort of the post crew that put all that stuff in there, and I'll tell you, it was too much. There was too much special effects going on all at once, and it was just too much.
I gotta wonder. It didn't even come in first place its first week. It lost out
No,
to
to
the
Pets.
second week of The Secret Life of Pets,
Yeah.
which came out the week before.
Yeah.
So it still didn't even beat that, which means probably once it goes. Oh, and there's another thing. It's not airing in China at all because they
That's
don't
right,
do
'cause they
movies
don't-
have to do
about-
with
about
spirits and
death-
ghosts.
Yeah, ghosts.
So that's a whole
Yeah, but you
billion
know what?
people that aren't going to see it.
You don't really get that much money out of China. You remember how much A Force Awakens didn't make in China,
Right, and expected to do more, and that was going to be the number that took it beyond Titanic,
Yeah,
and it didn't happen.
I think
or
they
Avatar.
only made a couple. What did they make in China?
I'm sure it still made a couple $100 million, but I'm sure
Yeah.
they were expecting to get a solid $1 billion
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of
yeah.
China. We have a lot of people behind us. I
Do
don't
we?
even know what they're doing. I think they
They're
realize
looking at us.
the gate is closed, and they're like, we don't know how to get out of here. We're
Help,
trapped.
Help! There was one more thing I wanted to talk about.
About the movie?
About the movie, and now I don't remember. So,
So
I
I want to know about Chris Helmsworth. Was he a distraction, or was there any comedy there?
a lot of I've watched a lot of other people's reviews on this, and about they're split about halfway. Half of the people think he was the shining star of the movie because he was funny.
Okay.
I didn't think so. I think he was written so stupid that, and he played it stupid because that's obviously
That's the
what
character.
Paul Feig wanted. But I didn't find him funny. There was one line where I thought it was almost funny, and I almost gave a chuckle.
Almost funny,
but
says
it
Greg
was-
Moan. It's on the bottom of the poster.
that's a great review. Almost funny. That's
Almost
my
funny.
tagline. So yeah, and he was just dumb. He was dumb to a level that you can't even comprehend how a person could exist in this universe being that stupid.
Wasted
So
talent.
Ah.
Because there are scenes in an action movie called The Avengers or Thor where he is very funny in small doses.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he's supposed to be all funny, and it just didn't.
I think if they would have played it on, I don't even know what the problem is, but like, I think Paul Feig wrote it to be an 11 on the funny meter, but nobody believed in the movie being that funny, so they said the lines that were in the script. But here's the interesting thing: I've heard that a lot of this movie was improvised.
Really?
That's what I've heard. I don't see how that's
I
possible.
see that from Melissa McCarthy and possibly Kristen Wiig. I could see that Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones. I could see that all
You know
being
what?
possible.
I didn't see the places where they could have been improvised.
Okay, so it's like there's a scene, we've seen it in the trailers. Leslie Jones is in the crowd of people. She jumps and
Yeah.
expects the crowd to catch her. She
Yeah.
hits the ground. They probably have her say 10 different things.
Probably.
And I don't even know if what was in the trailer ended up actually being in the movie. I don't know if it was
did.
a race thing or a lady thing, but I'm mad as hell.
That was in the and you know what what's bizarre is in the international trailer they showed the whole scene with the dragon thing on her shoulders, and she's just like, I'm gonna go now, I'm gonna turn around, I'm gonna walk away,
and then the selfie.
That I thought that was dumb in the trailer. I actually think it worked in the film, but again, not funny. I mean, a little like quirky and like that's all right, but nothing that made me go, that's awesome.
Right. Comedy is hard. They say it does not always come naturally.
I don't care, man. I've seen the original Ghostbusters many times, and even today, I'm seeing lines, the delivery of the lines, the subtlety, the
it was a lot of that was Bill Murray. They
Yeah,
could do if they would do a
absolutely.
fantastic scene. The score is like blaring in the screens.
That's where I was gonna
She
go
gets
with.
turned into a dog, Sigourney Weaver, and then the soundtrack comes to a halt, and then that's when he says, "Okay, so she's a dog."
the music, the scoring of this new film. I don't know what they're doing in films these days, but they feel like they have to have music all the time,
Up to an 11, like you said.
and it has to match the thing that they want you to be feeling right now. Like
Right.
they're treating you're treating you like an idiot. Like here you're supposed to feel melancholy right now, so
Right.
here's some melancholy music.
Ah.
You're supposed to feel anxious, so here's some anxious music. And it's just like, come on, you guys. I mean, I'm smarter than that.
Right.
I'm an adult. I'm an adult. So like, let me
Let me make that decision.
view your movie and feel the things that naturally happen. Don't make me think that I'm supposed to think these things or feel these things. Oh God, what happened?
It's a shame because I'm gonna close the laptop.
You do that. It had potential to be something, and
Now the
it
question is, of
just
course,
wasn't.
will there be a sequel?
There absolutely will be a sequel, and here's how I know.
Oh.
Because they have already rushed out a shitty video game tie-in
Really?
that's out now. It's Ghostbusters. There's no tagline to it. There's no Ghostbusters 2016, but there is a video game out right now. It's a dual stick top-down shooter that is awful,
Ugh.
and it is worse than the movie.
So
yeah.
but don't they have to hit a certain number before they say yes, we're making a sequel?
No, they probably already got it in the works.
Oh boy, that's
But I'll tell you,
unfortunate.
there were 7 people in the theater that I watched it on a Wednesday after it was released.
7?
7.
That's it?
7.
That's bad news for them. That's really bad news for them because it didn't hit number 1 in its first week. So week 2, is this week 2?
This would be week 2.
So it's coming up against Star Trek in week 2.
That's gonna go back
Let's
down
play
to
this. Let's play this game. And
let's do this.
This brings me to one other thing I wanted to talk about.
I think it'll be number 4.
And it's going to be something that I want to try and do with our show, if
Yep.
we want to call this a show, is I've been listening to other podcasts. I've always listened to Adam Carolla. I've been listening to him for years. His podcast is solid. It's considered probably the most successful podcast. Well, he does it 5 days a week.
One of, sure.
He does it 5 days a week, and he makes money.
Okay.
Not many people can say that. But there's structure to it. We don't really have any structure. We get in and we start talking.
Right.
We do 8 hours, and we talk for 8 hours.
That's
but
right.
perhaps we start doing segments in the show.
I'd be happy with that.
One of the segments, of course, that we do, and Steven mentioned this, that's another thing on my list. Don't let me forget the beer for a second.
Gotcha.
Remember, you want to talk about the beer.
Talk about the beer.
Steven, one of our Gods and Monsters guests have been here a few times, started his own podcast up, I want to say Pennsylvania? Did he
Yes,
move to
he's in
Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania.
And you and I happened to be at work that whole night, and I listened to his whole podcast.
What's it called? The 6?
It's called The Deep Six.
Deep 6.
And hello, Steven. You know, he had watched
On
our
iTunes.
show, and you were watching as well because you
Yep.
and I were commenting the way he was commenting during our live show. But,
Yeah.
you know, good for him to get up. He started a podcast, technically better looking immediately than what we do, which is just a series of cameras.
Way better.
He was doing it live.
Yeah.
And he must have had a switcher. We need him to give us information on how he was switching into full screen graphics.
Yep.
And he
I
had
loved it.
cameras.
It was entertaining.
He had cameras that were plugged into a video switcher, or they were plugged into a computer program.
He
in
was
his
just using the
computer.
webcams off the laptops.
And he was being able to switch. He switched
Yes.
from one camera full to the double box. We call them double boxes at work when it's 2 at once. But then he was also doing full screen graphics. Just
Yep.
like, and here's our. Awesome.
It looked great.
They were doing a full show on the WWE draft. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a WWE draft.
I had no idea what was going on.
But I was sitting at work and I listened to the whole show, and it was great to comment. I was also sending him photos,
Yeah.
and the photos were popping up where he could see them.
I
Technology
couldn't do
is
that.
so
I
amazing.
didn't know how to do that. I could send.
I took a
messages.
photo on my phone of
It
me
was on
sitting
your
at my
phone.
desk,
Okay, that's fine.
and the podcast was up on my monitor,
Yeah.
and I just sent it to his page, and
That's
he
right.
saw that right away. But good, good for Steven for getting his show off the ground and after he left here, and maybe we'll see him here for either a Gods and Monsters episode again, or he'll be here for WrestleMania, which is in Orlando. He should be here for that, so he's welcome back anytime. Good luck, and congratulations on you for getting your show going. But the reason I was bringing that up was, okay, the beer. Another segment we do is, what are you drinking? Steven mentioned that, where he said they do a segment on the show called What Are You Drinking? He's like, you know what? That's cool that he said that, because I never thought of it as a segment of, hey, what is it you're drinking? I just thought of like a great way to start the show. So maybe we'll start doing more segments on the show. And I thought another segment we could do is, since it's a Friday, this will air on Monday, a segment that we can do is, how much money do you think a movie will make in its
Ooh,
opening
that's a
weekend?
good one.
Star Trek is coming out this weekend. And
90.
get a number in your head. God damn it. See, now I'm going to say 91. And then I'm going to win.
fine.
Because it'll probably be 100.
Fair enough.
So Star Trek is out this weekend. As a matter of fact, it came out at Thursday at 7 p.m.
See, that's what I don't like about
It used to be
weekend,
midnight.
About weekend box office.
Right.
Is like, if it comes out on a holiday weekend, sometimes they open it up on a Thursday or
right.
a Wednesday sometimes.
You have to take that into account.
Yeah.
So, and because the first weekend box office is crucial to if the movie makes money, if they're going to make a sequel. And so all that stuff is crucial. So they backed it up. It used to be it just started on Friday. Then
Yeah.
it was like midnight, Friday morning.
Right.
And now they're just like, screw it.
Thursday afternoon.
Thursday at 7 p.m., the first show. And that's the way it was here. So you're saying 90 million, and I was going to say 100 because I think it is going to do that well. People have been anticipating it for a long time. The trailer, not as hated as the Ghostbusters one, but it's hit or miss with Star Trek fans because the director of this movie is the director of Too Fast and Furious.
yeah.
So it's Fast and Furious. So we've been calling it 2-star, 2 Trek. But then again, I've got that love for the Beastie Boys, and when I hear
Right.
Sabotage, it's like, oh, okay, I know I should not like this, but I do like it, and I'm thinking it could make $100 million in its first weekend, and that's a
could.
game we'll
I mean-
play. Like, how much can a movie make over the first weekend?
I guess that's. I'm gonna end up doing research from now on from movies like this because for this movie I would be looking up what the first Star Trek and the second Star Trek did in their opening
Yeah,
weekends
that's a good point. I don't know.
because that sometimes has a lot to do with it.
It does because the fan base. The fan base always comes out the first weekend.
Sure it does.
How are we doing? We at
We're
45
at,
or
59.
Wow, 59.
Right.
So do we keep going or are we?
Well, you have a few more things.
Well, I
on
did
the
have a
list.
few more things. I wanted to get into because you threw a question at me during the first anniversary. It's like, how did you come up with this whole idea? And I was like, man, it'd be great to really get into who is Art and who is Greg, but maybe that's not for this episode.
Nah, we'll do that another time.
The last thing I wanted to mention is there's a podcast that my daughter Reese listens to. It's called the Retro Disney Podcast. It's these 4 guys who sit around and talk about when Disney World was built, when it was created, the things
Disney
that happened
World.
here in Orlando,
Okay,
Disney
yeah,
World,
okay.
and they do a show once a month. They do a show once a month,
your
but it's
crap
but it's
together.
very organized.
Yeah.
They already have sponsors. It's been on for
Oh.
like a year and a half, but they're very very well done.
Let's get sponsors.
They don't even do the show here from Orlando. They live somewhere else, but they're coming here at the middle of November to do a live podcast from the Contemporary Hotel.
Cool.
And Reese is thrilled to oh my God, we have to meet them because 2 weeks ago she submitted 3 emails to them and they read all 3 on the air and
Wow.
she flipped out over that, how cool that was.
That's cool.
They're coming here, and I'm hoping that they're going to do a Saturday, Sunday podcast that they could come here on a Friday.
Yeah.
They're busy guys. Who knows? But there are 4 of them, and they're all kind of experts in everything Disney, and we're big fans of their show. It's called Retro Disney, and you can find that podcast on iTunes, as you can find all podcasts. Another thing I'm looking into is all of our episodes, making them into MP3 files and getting them on iTunes. I got to do that.
Yeah,
or
that might be a good
make
idea.
them as video podcasts because we do toy reviews here,
Sure.
and that's kind of hard to do as an audio-only podcast. This is a visual show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not today. We're not showing anything except for I see Talon and Alita there, one of our guests on our celebration show. Oh, look, there's some fans. Oh, God, I wish she could come inside, but the door's locked.
Boo.
Um,
I started listening to a couple of geeks
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
okay, very
and,
good. Fans of the show, Talon and Alita, a couple of geeks, they were here.
I think their second. I'm starting from the beginning. Their second podcast ever was talking about Event Horizon, one of my more favorite guilty pleasures. And
Sharon Stone, was she in that?
no.
Event Horizon.
That was Lawrence Fishburne, the guy from Jurassic Park, the original.
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill.
Thank you.
And oh gosh, I know there was a couple other women that I can't remember, but yeah, one of my favorite.
They did a review of the
stupid
movie?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They talked about it for like an hour, and I was looking through all the movies that they talk about, and a lot of times their podcasts are revolving around a particular movie. I want to go on that show, man, because they're talking about a lot of my more favorite movies.
Oh, that's cool.
And I would love to be on a
How
podcast
weird
where
is it that he's like sitting right back there?
where we
Talon is there.
Yeah, where we just take like an hour and deconstruct an entire movie and talk about it. Now that's not really what we do. We want
don't, right.
want to keep moving and talk about anything.
There
but,
is another podcast called Nerding Out About. They were here on the first episode. I'm sorry, they were here during the first grand opening. One of them was also here during the first anniversary, and I was a guest on their show. They do the same thing where they just deconstruct one
Sorry,
movie.
it was Nerding Out.
Nerding Out About? Oh,
Yeah.
you said a couple of geeks.
I did. I was mistaken.
Okay,
It's Nerding
Out
yeah.
About. Well, the episode I was on, if you're looking for it, was on the movie True Lies, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis movie.
Yes.
I went down to it was Hutch who was here.
Right.
I went down to his house,
Yeah.
and it was nice to go into the room. They had 4 mics set up, and it was all the doors were closed, and it was nice and quiet. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is so nice. I get to walk in and do a show and then walk out. I don't have to edit it or be a part of it in any way.
You don't have to set it up.
But
you don't have to break it down.
Another example of doing segments.
Yeah.
They have an opening to the show. You hear the voice guy come
Yep.
in, and then it's like, it's cool. So I'm going to try and do better.
And you know what? Based on the videos that I'm starting to make, I understand and I'm starting to appreciate the format of it. Like
Right.
like you saw my review. Like
Yes,
I
of
gave
Ghostbusters.
I gave my synopsis, and then
Yep.
we went into this is the movie, farted on
Right,
it, and
right.
then now we start the
You
now we start
actually
the review.
Yes.
I
Audibly
farted
did
on
fart
it.
on it. Yes, that did happen. Don't mean to spoil you, but again, Good Egg Pro.
Yep.
If people want to watch that on YouTube, he's got his review, and perhaps we'll get more movie reviews from Greg.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to say that I have officially passed the Gods and Monsters YouTube channel with subscribers.
Son of a bitch!
Yeah.
With
So-
the Miata, Mazda Miata.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're listening to this, please subscribe to the Gods and Monsters YouTube channel because
We're at like
I-
212 or 15, and you've surpassed that with the Mazda Miata. I have
should
no
not
idea what I'm doing.
My channel is crap. I should not have more subscribers than Gods and Monsters.
That's bad marketing on my part, I believe. Then, and you've done a great job of marketing. You found a select group of people who have Mazda Miatas and were like, "Oh, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing either. I'm going to watch this YouTube show about a guy who says I don't know what I'm doing."
And I literally don't.
Greg is reconstructing a 1990 Mazda Miata, and he's doing it through a serise of YouTube videos.
Sure.
Great idea. That's a
Yeah.
great idea. There are other things to talk about,
Next time.
But there is a next time. I can't. I'm working a night shift next week, so I can't do a show next week. But I still have other episodes of the
yeah.
anniversary show to still go up. Your friends that came in dressed up, the girl and the guy.
yeah.
What were their names?
Zach and Beth.
Zach and Beth. Their episode is coming up. I'm editing that at home right now. Next, that's coming up. So it's good to be back, and it was great to have Todd finally sit and talk with
yeah.
us for a while and
Always
just
a pleasure
talk
to talk
about
to Todd.
stuff. I wanted to, damn it, before he walked away, I want to start talking about the hype for Star Wars and Rogue One now. Are we going to do another podcast the way we did and be in the
Yes.
lobby of a movie theater? Are
Yes,
we going
let's
to be
do that.
Are we going to be doing it here at the Artigan? Are we going to be back at the IMAX theater on iDrive? I need to know.
We should do it here at the Artigan. I mean, this is kind of our home.
It is.
And I don't feel like we should go other fancy places
At the
when they
time-
have a great theater right here at the Artigan.
The leather chairs, they tilt up, assigned seating that you
Yeah.
can pick right up on Fandango. It's fantastic. All right, so there's a lot going on here. If you're watching this show, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you have not clicked the subscribe button, but more importantly, share.
Tell a
Say,
friend.
hey, I watched this show. Share it on your Facebook page or share it with your friends in an email or when you're Pokemoning. Go up and say, hey, you should share this and watch this show. And then,
Pokemon.
by the way,
Take your
you can
dog.
bring your dogs here anytime you want. They are pet friendly here at Gods and Monsters. Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, it's good to be back.
It's been way too long. That's the
Hopefully,
longest.
hopefully we can get back to our weekly show here, and if not, then I'm just going to
Yes.
come over to your house sometime next week, and we're going to do a quick show.
We will eventually start getting back to the once a week. I'm working a shift next week. I got to work a Friday night, so get used to us being here every Friday night. And if you're in the mall, Come by and see us.
Wave,
Go,
say
Go
hello.
through the side door. If the front gate is locked, like Todd's sister was locked out, go
Yep.
to the side door. Come out and say, "Hey, I saw your show. Come, I want to sit and talk."
Get yourself a drink from the Outward Lounge and sit
Yes.
down and say hello.
Yes, the Offworld Lounge, not the Outworld Lounge. But thanks for playing.
Outworld, that's that
Yes.
video game. Outworld.
Craft beers
Never mind, don't
available,
listen to me.
by the way. Craft beers. Oh, I want to do some video game reviews next week also.
Video
oh,
game
look
reviews.
at that. It just cut off. Look
Okay,
at that.
so we got this
All
one.
right, so we're only doing the wide
Bye.
shot. That's a good time to sign off. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.